Hi guys, it's Caitlin, and today I am here to talk to you about episode 8 of Shadowhunters. I said I was going to look it up before I started this video, and I didn't. So I am really happy to say that following in the same vein as the previous episode, this episode was really good. I don't know if it was just as good as last week or maybe not quite as good. I wouldn't say it was better, but it could have been. I don't know. I took a lot more notes than I did last time, so I don't know what that means. Overall, I would probably give this episode the grade A, maybe an A-. Although Jace's bad acting is back, the Batman voice has returned, and some of the things were just weird, I would say that overall a lot happened in this episode. A lot of things were set up, a lot of interactions occurred that I really enjoyed. Other than that, the only thing I have to say about this episode in the non-spoilery section is that this was the episode for me that was full of what the fucks. So this episode begins right after the previous episode ended, where they're in the Institute and Clary has the cup, and then Izzy confiscates it, and there's this whole kind of argument, and ultimately Alec decides that they're going to keep the Mortal Cup in the Institute. Raphael brings Simon's dead body to the Institute because Camille has killed him. Valentine finds out Clary has the Mortal Cup, so he sends a couple of Circle members with a bunch of jacked up Forsaken to go attack the Jade Wolf. Because of all the issues that the Clave has been having with the New York Institute, the Lightwoods find themselves under investigation, and the Inquisitor is brought in. We had Inquisitor Herondale in the books, but in this case it's Bramwell. Ultimately, the Inquisitor is forced to take over the Institute. Clary decides that she is going to revive Simon. Raphael stages a coup and takes over the vampire group from Camille. The Circle attacks the Institute, and the episode ends as Simon arises from the ground as a vampire. Like I said, I really did enjoy this episode. There was a lot of action, a lot of different things started to come into fruition, a lot of different interactions were really great throughout the episode, and I really liked it. Let's go ahead and go down the list from start to finish of my thoughts as they occurred. Clary is like holding the Mortal Cup, and she's like, it just looks like a normal wine glass. I don't know what kind of wine glasses she's been drinking out of, but that doesn't look like a wine glass to me. It looks like a goblet encrusted in gold. And then Jace is like, no, it's the Mortal Cup and it saved you. If it'd just been a wine glass, you'd be dead. And then it kind of rotates and he's got this weird pout on his face like, what are you doing with your lips, bruh? And then we get this really weird monotone line, and I'm so sad because I was so sure that the days of monotony were over for Dominic Sherwood as Jace Wayland. But no, we get a when something explodes, just keep walking. Okay then. And then Izzy like whips the cup and like drags it to her, and she's like, there's nothing a Shadowhunter can't do in heels. Okay. Now as I'm rethinking the beginning, I kind of wish I'd knocked off a few extra points. And then they get this notification on their massive screens of like this red dot running through their computer screens, coming towards like this white castle that symbolizes the Institute or something. And like they're freaking out. They're like, there's an intruder alert, blah blah blah, someone's trying to break into the Institute. No one can break into the Institute except a Shadowhunter. Valentine's a Shadowhunter. And like the four of them are freaking out, and everybody else in the Institute is just like chilling. Nobody cares, like, what are all these people doing here? This, at all times, this place is full of a shit ton of people who don't give a fuck. They don't move, they don't look around, they don't feel concerned. What are they, a bunch of robots? Like, oh my gosh, is that going to be the twist in this series, that the animatrons from the Infernal Devices have actually been formed into like these Shadowhunter people and work at the Institutes? Is that what's going on? Because I don't understand what is happening with these people otherwise. They go outside because they're all hunting what this intruder is, and it's just the four of them because heaven forbid Shadowhunter robot people go with them. It's Raphael carrying Simon's body because Camille has killed Simon, and he basically tells them, look, I know I'm risking a lot by coming here. Camille broke the Accords and I could have hidden it from you, but I brought it to you as a sign of good faith because I don't want me or the rest of the clan to get in trouble because of Camille. And one thing I'm unclear about is like was Raphael's intention? Like, I'm assuming that in, like, the show version, there isn't, like, some kind of waiting area where a downworlder who wants to speak to members of the Clave can, like, ring the doorbell, essentially. I'm not sure if he was trying to sneak underneath the Institute. I'm not sure how he was planning to go about this. He could have either knocked on the front door with a body or tried to carry a corpse across censored ground to a holy place that he can't cross anyway, and they're gonna see him as an intruder and try to kill him. Well, I don't really know what Raphael was thinking. Clary's freaking out, like, Simon, he's dead, I love you so much, I'm so sorry. And that's when Raphael kind of starts talking about, well, he's not necessarily dead, you can resurrect him. Thus begins the return of the Batman voice. Everything Jay says from here on out is said like this, 'cause I'm Batman. Batman doesn't laugh like that. Then we jump to Valentine. I think he's still in Chernobyl, and he's talking to Jocelyn, who is still unconscious, floating in that weird green bubble of electricity and rippling and stuff. And then a really horrible portal shows up, and the little circle member comes through, says that, hey, Luke interfered so he didn't get the cup. And instead of being pissed at the circle member, as I genuinely believe Valentine would have been, he's like, no, Luke, again. We must destroy him. And then he apparently decides that he's going to send a bunch of Circle members with a bunch of Forsaken to go and kill Luke, because now he knows that Luke is the leader of the werewolf pack. Then we jump to the Lightwood parents, who are sitting in like this cozy little office, like arguing about blah, 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 blah. And they call Alec and Izzy in to yell at them because they're still mad about the unsanctioned missions. Like, this has been going on for, what is it, 4 episodes now. Ever since Meredith got back, she's just been pissed off about these unsanctioned missions. I'm not sure if there's like continuing unsanctioned missions going on and I'm just not really registering that they're happening, or if it's the same unsanctioned missions and they just haven't finished yelling about it yet. Like, because parents do that. Like, they will grab onto something and they won't let go. But what I don't get is this. They come in to yell at Alec and Izzy. Izzy has been staying totally above the radar, totally good. Like, she's doing great, staying out of trouble. So I don't know why they're yelling at her if it's like new unsanctioned missions. And if Alec is such a bad leader continuing to allow these unsanctioned missions, you're his parents. Why aren't you running the Institute? I'm pretty sure it's your Institute. I thought it had to be like a pair or a married couple to run it, and Alec is neither. I mean, he is, but he's like prerogatized with what is essentially a Shadowhunter minor, and because Jace isn't old enough yet, Jace is in no way running the Institute, so I'm really not sure what's going on there. Why don't they just take over and accept the consequences upon themselves? Plus, we told the Clave that the Seelie are betraying us, and they won't believe us because of these unsanctioned missions. And Izzy's like, but we're the Lightwoods. Is that supposed to mean something? Like, what is with it? We're the Lightwoods. A name means nothing. What? I guess that I don't understand how she still isn't getting it and how they still aren't comprehending that the name means nothing because they've already been in trouble. They've already been told that you guys are disgracing the Lightwood name. The Clave is not happy with us, and they're still just like, Lightwood, that's my green card. I get away with murder. Get out of jail free. And then we jump back to where Clary and Jace and Raphael are in a weird basement greenhouse thing with Simon's fledgling corpse, whatever. And she's barely listening to the voicemail. And at the beginning of the episode, she called Simon and left him a voicemail. Why didn't she listen to her voicemail? Like, I don't know about you, but if I have voicemails and missed calls on my phone, before I call that person back, I either read my text messages from them, listen to my voicemails, or do both before I call them back. But she waited until now, and he's like, Clary, I think I'm turning into a vampire. And she's like, oh, why wasn't I there for him? Why didn't you listen to this voicemail 3 hours ago? And then she starts talking about, oh, I'm stuck between 2 reprehensible choices. I know that book Clary and TV show Clary are different, but I've seen a lot of similarities up to now. But book Clary never for a second even considered killing Simon or letting him die or, you know, not giving him a second chance to live or be undead and alive or whatever it's called. But just when she's like, I don't know what to do. Should I stab him or should I bury him? Or should I stab him and then bury him? Or should I bury him and then stab him? Like, make up your mind, girl. Like, this is a weirdly complicated decision for you. Especially considering the fact that you just won't let shit go. You think you know what's best, and this is like the one time that you don't. Then we have this adorable scene where Max and Alec are walking through the Institute, and Max is essentially just like, hey yo, big bro, I want my stele back. And Alec is like, you are in trouble and your stele was taken away because you lit the Mumbai Institute on fire. We're in trouble. Maybe you can get your stele back if you're not going to cause trouble and after we're out of this trouble because damn, little boy. But their interaction was so cute. Like, I just love the softness that Alec kind of shows to Max. It's the softness that we don't get to see any of the other times. Even like at his sweetest moments that we've seen so far, the interactions with Max are definitely way sweeter, and I love that. I love the brotherly love there. It's so adorable. And that's when the alarms go off and Valentine walks in the friggin' doors, and everybody's just kind of standing around as usual, and the only one who reacts at all is Alec, who shoves Max behind him, pulls out an arrow, and shoots Valentine in the head. But Valentine is fast, dodges to the side, grabs the arrow out of the air, and then he just like looks at him. And apparently looking at them, unless I missed some sort of signal, was code for let's not shoot anymore at this evil former Shadowhunter who is out to destroy us. Let's just stand here for a minute and see what he does. I mean, it worked out because it was Inquisitor Bramwell, but like, what if it hadn't been? Tell me, comment down below, did I miss a signal that was like, hey, don't shoot, this isn't really Valentine, I was just messing with ya. Then we have that scene where the Circle member shows up with the Forsaken at the Jade Wolf, and the Forsaken go in and attack the werewolves. Then we jump to Simon's mom's house, where Clary and Jace are sitting in the living room, basically arguing about whether or not she should tell Simon's mom that Simon's never coming home. First off, they were arguing fairly loudly, and Simon's mom didn't hear, apparently. And that's kind of a continuing theme the entire time they're in this house. They're having very loud, impassioned discussions, yet at no time does Simon's mom hear them or think it's weird that Clary is talking to herself very loudly and very emotionally and having these weird, one-sided arguments. And that's when you kind of realize, okay, so Clary's decided to kill Simon? Like, what the fuck? What? She suddenly has like a change of heart and she doesn't want to tell his mom about it, and Jace is over in the corner, and that's when I realized that Jace was invisible. I had no idea. I thought that Simon's mom knew he was there. He's like, Clary, don't say anything to her. What are you doing? But Simon's mom is like, tell me the truth. Is he hurt? Is he dead? She's just like, no. Tell me, Clary, I can handle it. I have no idea what she told Simon's mom, because the next scene we get, Jace and Clary are arguing pretty loudly in Simon's bedroom, and his mom is still unaware of the voices. Because she's very unobservant and assumably deaf. And then we get like the weird situational storytelling of Jace telling Clary about the falcon that was tamed, and then the dad broke its neck because he was supposed to make it obedient and not love it. And it didn't really make sense. Like, he's like, Shadowhunter rule number 3, emotion clouds your judgment. I guess I missed how that really correlated. Like, I get it. Like, emotion was clouding her judgment. He wanted her to kill Simon and not feel bad about it. But at the same time, like, of all the times and places to tell this story and to try to make it manifest, I felt like it was kind of like misconstrued and like stretched out to make it kind of fit into this specific scenario. It was just so weird, and I was just kind of like, eh. The next scene, because obviously it's Shadowhunter's story time, is the Inquisitor and Alec having like this story time where she tells him, oh yeah, I heard that you were essentially being married off. And he's like, I didn't have a say in that. She's like, yeah, my parents tried to marry me off too, but I got married for love. And then we were gonna run this institute together, and then he died. That's a very sad story. Kind of awkward, you just met this guy. I don't know, like, these stories were so, like, ill-timed, and they didn't really fit into the plot. Like, it's like, there's a hole in my wall, let me just kind of crumple up this sock and shove it in there. Like, I guess technically it does the job, but it still doesn't look right. Alec and the Inquisitor at the Jade Wolf talking to Luke because they've killed the Forsaken, and apparently it was very, very hard to kill because it's a jacked up Forsaken. And they're like, we're gonna take the body. We have the best forensic pathologist. What is this? CSI Downworld? Like, what is going on? New York Institute has one of the best forensic pathologists in existence. Why? And that's when the Inquisitor mentions the fact that, you know, the Bramwells and the Lightwoods have always been allied together. Like, the Bramwells took in the Lightwoods when their dad had demon pox. That's so sweet. And she's like, and even though the Lightwoods aren't doing so great because they were in the circle, blah, 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 and he's like, what? And up until that point, I genuinely had no idea that Alec and Izzy didn't know that their parents were former Circle members. And that blew my mind. And it kind of made a lot of things make sense. And I kind of wish that they had alluded to that earlier on, like even just having Hodge say something that hints that they were in the Circle, but Alec and Izzy don't pick up on it, or say something along the lines of you don't know everything about what your parents have done. Their parents could have been talking before they entered a room about how they're in more danger than ever and the kids still can't know. Like, I wish that I had any indication up until now that Alec and Izzy didn't know, because even though it maybe wasn't that important, it felt like a pretty big deal. You guys are so lucky that this is the Inquisitor you got, because she's gonna go so much easier on you than Inquisitor Herondale. And somewhere in there, the Inquisitor mentions the fact that she's called on Magnus, and Alec's face, oh, I just died. He's like, oh yeah, Magnus is magical. He's very, very good at magic. Oh, good save there, Alec. Good save. And then we get the Inquisitor talking about Henry and Magnus going together back in like the 1800s to invent the portal, and I just got all the feels because I really loved Henry and Magnus together, and they were like my bromance OTP, bro TP. What's it called? Is that right? Bro TP. And then it jumps back to the Institute, and like Magnus and Izzy are like investigating the body. Like she's sitting there wandering around like poking things and like sniffing things, and he's just doing his magic over the like jacked up Forsaken, and they've got the worst face masks on, and I'm just kind of like, what the fuck? And then it strikes me after a minute, what the fuck? Izzy is the forensic pathologist? Like, what is happening? Why did you mention my sister is the best forensic pathologist in existence? Because I did not see anybody there except Izzy. And then when Magnus leaves, she like goes over with his scalpel and like starts cutting open the chest. And I'm just like, why is Izzy the forensic pathologist? Like, what the fuck? Like, why? What is going on? Why? And then Clary and Jace show up at the Jade Wolf, and they talk to Luke about what's happened to Simon, and then we have a flashback to Luke with Jocelyn back when he was first attacked by the werewolves, and he was going through the turn, and he was about to kill himself, and Jocelyn stopped him and said, I hope that you will learn to love yourself as much as I will always love you. And then he basically tells her, the only thing that kept me going in the hardest times were you and your mom, and whatever choice you make with Simon, make it about Simon and not about yourself. And that's kind of when I thought Clary decided that she was going to revive Simon and bury him. Then we have this Malik moment. Magnus is basically like, you need to start following your heart, and they have this cute little heart-to-heart, and then Alec goes, you know, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think you're right. And then we jump to the graveyard where Clary, Jace, and Raphael have dragged Simon and are about to bury him. And then Camille shows up, and she's like, give me back my property. And I'm just like, what are you doing here? Like, how is he your property? Did you want to be the one to bury him? Did you just want to keep his corpse on your couch? Were you gonna toss him in the trash? Like, I don't really understand. And they're like, no, you can't take him from us. And that's when she's like, I didn't come alone. And all the other vampires like appear out of nowhere. And that's when Raphael is just kind of like overthrows her. He's like, you've been breaking the accords. It's good for you, but everybody else is gonna get screwed in the end because of it. And she's like, they'll never turn against me. And he's just like, look, guys, she killed him. That breaks the accords. And then the vampires turn on her, and I'm just like, what is going on? She brought them here. Like, did she think it was gonna be a secret? Did she think they wouldn't care? Was that somehow some sort of rousing speech on Raphael's end? Like, I don't understand how this whole, like, overthrow coup event happened, because she brought them with her. 5 words later, they attack her. But first, she's like, no one cares about the mundane. I'm taking his body. We're going to dispose of it. And that way the Institute will never know what we've done. And Clary's like, over my dead body. And she walks up and like punches Camille in the face, turns around and walks away. Camille does this like dramatic spin around when she gets punched in the face, doesn't dodge, doesn't attack back, doesn't do anything except spin around dramatically when she gets punched, turn around to look at Clary. Clary walks away with a smirk. And then the vampires attack Camille, and I'm just like, how the hell did that happen? And they're trying to decide whether or not they're going to bury Simon, and I'm just like, what on earth? I thought you had already decided you were going to bury him. Like, why else is he here? And actually, Raphael is very, very nice through all that. And then we get the most what the fuck scene of the episode when Alec goes to the Inquisitor, tells her, I need to restore my family's good name. You want to run an institute. I'm proposing to you. He gets on his knee. I believe she said yes. Maybe she didn't. I don't really remember. He proposes to her, and it becomes very, very clear that something weird is fucking happening right now. Then we go back to the graveyard where Raphael, Jace, and Clary are sitting around waiting for Simon to rise. And then Clary gives the whole love makes you stronger speech. It was okay. It was another conversation and story time thing that didn't really fit the scenario, but kinda did. It was like trying to stuff a cockroach in an ant-hole. And then we get Simon's resurrection scene, and I really liked it. It was exactly how I remembered it. At least from the books, it might have been different, but overall, it was perfect. Like, it shows him kind of like trying to fight to get above the ground, and when he finally gets out, he's kind of huddling there, and Clary's all like upset and trying to get to him, and Jace is holding her back, and Raphael steps forward, and he's like, he's going to be really hungry and disoriented, and he tosses him a couple of bags of blood, and Simon just rips them open and drinks them and dumps them all over himself, and then he has like this meltdown, and he kind of goes after Clary a little bit, and when he comes back into himself, he is horrified. He is in total denial, and it's honestly so heartbreaking because he's like, no, I don't want this to be me, I'm repulsive, and he's like trying to say God, and he's choking on the word, and it's so terrible, and it ends with him running away, telling Clary to stay away from him, and he runs really funny. I don't really understand it, but it was so sad. And then Raphael is like, don't worry, I'll keep an eye on him, I'll take care of him, and he goes chasing after him. The end. I liked this episode. I hope you guys liked it too. Go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the episode. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, anything that you think that I misunderstood, let me know. Anything that you think I missed and I should have mentioned, comment that down below as well. Hit like if you liked this video. Hit subscribe if you really liked it. And I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next week with my next episode review. Bye.